girl, Crystal, IQ Queen here. That's your praise.
No, that's a lie from pissing me off. I rebuke that in the name of Jesus. It's your girl, Tasha, IQ Queen, ready for another show.
Rebound that lasted too long.
Right? And now you just fucking miserable.
Yeah, no deal.
Hey,
Mike, who am I? You know, those are just my opinions. Just like assholes, everyone has them.
Exactly. I'm cool. Listen, depending on how much more out here charging, paying motherfuckers, I'll shame my mama for that money.
I'ma take. You ready to start the show? Young lady.
Absolutely.
Hello. We are back again with another episode of IQ Queen. Crystal here in the house, accompanied by Miss.
Hey, it's your girl Tasha here for another episode of IQ Queen.
We are ready to start the show. Tasha, girl, I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I am tired. I have had like the longest week running around, working, bouncing around with stuff with these kids. I had to go to a whole basketball game for girls and boys for Kamari.
Gee.
That shit seemed like that was the longest set of games and the worst. Never mind, I'm not gonna talk about the kids' skills, but Lord, it was just a lot.
They gonna get there. You know, everybody can't be Kobe and LeBron. They young.
Right,
you know?
right. And she's not a basketball. She doesn't play basketball or anything like that. She's on their step team at the school. So they had a performance during halftime, which was awesome. They did a really good job. But girl, I am beat after this week. And then it's nice and rainy. Like I just want to lay down, relax my nerves.
It's like cuddle weather. This is where I need to be. You know.
I'm trying to tell you, Valentine's Day coming up. What you
Girl.
do? Tasha, I out here who's single. I never had a man. What am I gonna do? It's Valentine's Day. We putting our application.
Yeah, definitely. I'm always accepting applications.
Yeah, I'm accepting application. Please submit your applications early for my Valentine's Day. I got to pull credit and everything, so credit background. I got to do credit and background. So
all of that shit.
Make sure you submit your applications early. Shit. But let's get into it. Today we're going to be talking about the impeachment, of course, which has royally pretty much pissed me off. And we're going to be talking about some controversial topics about children. One, spanking children, medicating children, baby mama and baby daddy drama, discipline in the schools, and paying kids for grades. Those are the topics that we're going to be talking about today. Let's get into it with the impeachment trial.
They've already impeached him. Right now, on the 22nd, if I'm not mistaken, of January, they started the trial in the Senate to remove him from office, which that would be beautiful if they just,
give him
Secret Service to just jack his ass up, like just straight jazz him out.
You understand?
Like Presley, right?
Get that boy out of there, man. Get him out of there. He come slow bopping through like he bruh man and shit. Come on, get that boy out of there.
He kind of do remind me of bruh man, like with the ignorant shit he says.
He be saying the dumbest shit. Bruh man told Martin he left a note under the bathroom sink. That's the shit Donald Trump be doing, saying stupid shit like that. You know? But either way,
motherfucker,
absolutely. So they started the opening statements at the beginning of last week.
Mm-hmm.
And the week pretty much ended with, after they've done their statements and everything, ended with them saying that they are not wanting to hear from any witnesses. I've never seen any type of trial go on and you have witnesses that can either prove your innocence or guilt, and you just say, hey, don't want to hear from the witnesses, period.
If I were innocent, right? Innocent of all charges like Trump says he is, I'd be like, yeah, bring the ass on out here so we can prove that they lied.
Yes, exactly.
But he know he did that shit.
Exactly. The Senate has already ruled, I think it was 51-40
Jesus.
on Friday, that they will no longer be requesting any information or any testimony from any witnesses. So that's not happening. And them not allowing witnesses in, that's pretty much going to allow them to move for an acquittal at this point.
Yep.
So that's all of that we've been through, people have been banging their heads against the wall since he first got in office, trying to get him impeached. And I mean, not impeached, but removed and all that stuff. And now we're here at the finish line, and I just feel like the Senate is dropping the ball in the whole situation. And I think I said this when we were doing the recap episode about them. If they don't want to hear those things, they have served a big injustice for us. Because I feel like all the facts aren't out. You're just pretty much washing your hand of the situation, like you're turning a blind eye to the abuse of power. And you don't care.
Mm-hmm. But here's my big thing, right? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, the people elect the senator. Like, people have to apply pressure to their senators.
Absolutely.
Ask them the real questions. I feel like, a lot of people, they see commercials on TV, they hear things from here and there, but they don't have a lot of facts as to who their senator is, how they vote, and things of that nature.
Exactly.
And, these dirty, crooked senators continue to be in office.
Exactly. If you have someone that's willing to vote no in a situation like that, saying, no, I don't need to hear anymore, the evidence that they've given me is enough, and that's just paper evidence. That's not someone sitting there, they haven't heard recordings or anything. They're asking, do you want people to come to the stand and give their testimony as eyewitnesses to these events, to these things that have happened, and state all the facts? And they're pretty much saying, no, we don't care about what they have to say.
We don't care.
The little bit of information we have, we're good with making a decision.
And I mean, let's be honest.
And that's sad.
All these people, scream patriotism, especially a lot of these, alt-right, white, racist motherfuckers.
Yeah.
But if you're so, pro-America, this and that, at the end of the day, this president committed treason.
Exactly. I have seen more people get up in arms about Colin Kaepernick kneeling than they have over this.
Exactly.
And that,
this
to me,
man committed treason against our country.
Thank you.
And you'll allow it to stand.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, a lot of people don't like to discuss it, but I don't know exactly what Putin has on him. Putin got some shit on him, and really, he's more so of like a Manchurian candidate, I feel like, to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. And it's Putin like that could be like, hey, motherfucker, if you don't like that move you making, like,
exactly. And that is dangerous for our democracy at the end of the day. Like, if you have somebody that is over you in that manner, you probably be out here willing to do some of anything, just so that he don't expose whatever secret it is that he has, or whatever he has over your head, he doesn't apply that pressure. And that's the leeway that they're giving him by not allowing these witnesses to speak, by just kind of making a decision based on the facts that they have in front of them, and allowing him to be able to pursue an acquittal.
Because they don't care about the facts. That is irrelevant to them.
Yeah.
The best part is, I feel like a lot of people are starting to wake up, or starting to demand information, seek information and things of that nature, and we'll see these politicians who they are. When they had the green wave in 2018, like, that was super hype. Things like that are going to continue to happen, to where the status quo, the way things used to be, the good old boys club, the shit ain't gonna fly no more.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to answer for the decisions that you make on my behalf.
Yeah. How this is going now, with the vote being 51, and it was a really close vote. It wasn't like it was super far off or anything. I really think people needed to lobby to gain those other votes. With it being 51 to 49, do you feel like, even though people are getting out there and requesting information, at this point, is it enough? Because, I mean, it's already been done. It's not like it's something that can be undone. It's not like it's something that's going to go back to the Senate and we can try to retry him.
At the end of the day, I feel like Trump is a moot situation. I pray to God that, he doesn't get a second term. Those 51 senators that voted to pretty much ignore evidence, I feel like your constituents should have the right. Mm-hmm. And as a voter, it's your obligation that if you disagree with something your senator is doing, to be able to hold their feet to the fire. They have town halls. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? They have town halls where you can speak and ask the questions.
Yeah. The tough questions that need to be asked.
Like our Senator Lindsey Graham is, first of all, we all know he's a staunch fucking racist. And he went gung-ho, gung-fucking-ho for Clinton getting his dick sucked. But will sit back and tuck his tail between his legs while our current president commits treason against the United States
and makes a mockery of everything that has been upheld by other presidents in such high esteem. Like, I think he takes the presidency and his role as the president as a complete joke.
He doesn't give a fuck. Like, to be honest with you,
no.
Like, I don't even feel like I don't think he really wants to be president. I think he ran never really thinking that he would actually win, and then he's like, oh shit, like, motherfuckers voted for me, now what the fuck do I do?
Exactly. It's disappointing. When they do
you
the
better
opening
believe
statement.
when it's time to vote for senators in the state of South Carolina, Lindsey Graham and Tim Scott, I'm going to a town hall. Hey, excuse me, sir.
Raise my hand.
Excuse me. Excuse me. I want to know why you allowed a man to commit treason against the United States of America and did nothing.
Exactly.
Explain it, please.
Explain
please
that.
don't give me that bullshit response. I want a real fucking answer.
A real answer.
And do not insult my intelligence in the process.
Exactly. She said go. You go for yours. Let's hear that. I'm telling you, that it's sad across the board at the end of the day. And I mean, it's nothing that we can do at this point because I'm pretty sure they're going to move to acquittal. So his defense attorney, Alan Dershowitz, when he started doing his opening argument, he wanted to make it clear that he voted for Hillary, that he supports Democrat. And I felt like it was a cop-out, just pretty much saying, hey, I'm just here to do my job.
When you walk into a voting booth and you close that curtain, not a soul knows who you voted for.
No one.
You can tell me any fucking thing you want to tell
Thanks.
me. But I don't know for sure who you voted for. And if you did vote for Hillary, if you saying you're so Democrats A, B, and C, your conscience wouldn't allow you to defend this motherfucker.
Yeah.
It wouldn't allow you to do it.
Exactly. But I mean, you got to look at it like he's a defense attorney, just like any defense attorney. A lot of the times, they just doing what they think is best for their client. They don't even ask, are you guilty? Or they just build their defense. Period.
But I feel like there's very little I wouldn't do for money.
I don't even know how to take that. Didn't sound good, but you got a point to be made. So go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish.
There's very little I would just flat out refuse to do for a check.
I can't do it.
So me, right? If Trump was to call me tomorrow and say, "Hey, listen, I'll cut you $500,000 check, $1 million check, if you vote for me in campaign," I'd have to go ahead and turn that money down.
I'm gonna have to turn that down.
Thank you, but no, thank you.
No, thank you.
God will always provide for me.
Facts, but that ain't nothing but hopping into bed with the devil. Ain't nobody.
Girl, just like what Diamond and Silk, old cooning ass, both of them big, black, and shiny as shit.
Not shiny.
Looking like somebody tacky ass aunties and shit. I hate them bitches. I wonder like how that shit be feeling like when they go to the family functions.
Girl,
they gotta face the family. Like,
they don't care.
If that was my auntie,
ain't nobody invite them. Ain't nobody inviting them.
I'd be like, auntie, man, I want you to know that you a whole disgrace.
And I'm not saying black people should just have to be Democrats or anything like that. For me, when I pick anyone like a politician to represent me and my interests, first I'm looking at, do you look at me as an equal?
Right.
That's the first and foremost. Do you look at me as an equal? Because if you look at me as less than, then there's no way that you can represent my interests.
Absolutely.
Then I look, what are you doing for people that look like me? And if there is nothing that you're doing for people that look like me, then you're not in my interest again.
Exactly.
And I look at it like sometimes, so you have like black Republicans and things like that. And I'm not saying any race should be any particular political party.
And to be honest with you, the Democratic Party, they ain't really here for the black folks' best interests all the time either.
Say I am a black person and I'm well off, right?
I feel like you are, Crystal.
And I mean, I already put that out there. I'm gonna delete that.
You know, balling at them churn. $1,000 a week. What?
You're so stupid. So, what I'm saying is, even though their political views may be in my best interest as me, just as an individual, is it in the best interest of my people? Because not everyone that looks like me, even within my family, are in my position. So I'm not going to, in that situation, I'm still not going to vote for you because what you're saying may sound good to me and how my finances are set up and where I am in life, but it still may not be a positive thing for my community. Right. And I think a lot of times when people vote, of course you vote for your own self-interest, but we have to, as black people, we need to kind of bond together when it comes to our vote to make sure that we as a whole are being taken care of and not separating ourselves with our votes and just only thinking about you as an individual at that time. Because at the end of the day, you can change everything about you, but you're still going to be black.
Thank you.
And when it comes down to the come down, that's what's going to be your core. That's what's going to matter. Yeah, you may be financially well off in this situation now, and you may live in this part of town, and this, that, and the third, and all those things are great. I'm not saying don't look out for those things, but what I am saying is don't forget who you are. And kind of, in a sense, where you came from. Like, that's how I look at it.
I do feel like African American, like Dr. Umar Johnson, he's like a psychologist.
Yes, he's really good.
I understand he's very problematic in a lot of ways.
People think so. I don't think so.
Like, when he was talking about the black community coming together and having conversations with the Democratic Party and the Republican Party and making a decision based off of that, and all the black vote going in one direction depending upon what exactly the promises that are being made, and whether or not they're willing to uphold those promises. I think that's a good idea. Why not?
That is. We definitely need more parties. I think just two parties. We got more option in fucking Chick-fil-A sauces. You know what I mean? Like, we got more options with dogs and pants and all these other things, but two options when it comes to choosing a political. Yeah, exactly. I think we need more options with that. And I know something like that would be a little difficult to do. Focus all that attention to trying building a new party, but I do think that is something that needs to be looked into across the board, rather instead of just those two parties, Democratic and Republicans, because not all the time, I don't think that our views are met on either standpoint sometimes, on either party sometimes. So I think having more options would be ideal, because it kind of boxes you in, and then you get to the point where, like with Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, now you have two people and you're like, well, shit. I really don't want to vote for any of that. Exactly. But I think if you had more options, then it would give you another out. In a sense.
I agree.
Anyway, the removal of Donald Trump, I don't foresee that is something that is going to happen, unfortunately. I do see them moving
to file for the acquittal. But
we kind of knew that prior to them going into this.
Right.
Because, there were talks about how the Republican was kind of going to hold their ground with the Senate and not want to hear from witnesses and stuff like that. So, it's not that surprising. It is very disheartening because they
pretty much said evidence be damned.
Yeah. Like, they just said F it all. Anyway, moving on to the next thing. Controversial topics. Let's get into these controversial topics. Spanking children. Last year, they had a video on Facebook where this mom came to the school and pretty much hemmed up her little boy and spanked him. With that video, it looked a little brash. She did a little much for me, personally. But at the end of the day, we still don't know what exactly the little boy did, how many times he was in trouble, things like that. And I'm not giving her a pass for doing that.
Is it the black lady who went and grabbed her son
out of the cafeteria?
Yeah.
So I don't think she spanked him that bad. Like, that wasn't all that serious. Just the language that she used.
Her language wasn't necessary. That shit had to sound wild. Like, you don't got to be cussing up and calling him a nigga and all the rest of that shit. Especially, in front of these white folks.
Exactly. I agree with what you just said on that part. I do feel like if she is a single mom trying to raise a boy who's acting out, that can be difficult at times. And coddling them and being that feminine energy towards them, that's not going to cut it. That's not it. So I can see that she was probably trying to act out in that manner to be more aggressive and dominant towards him, to show him, hey, I'll still mess you up, little dude. Like, you need to listen to me. Like, a father would go in there and yoke him up a little bit and just talk tough to him and get in his face and stuff like that. But for a mom to do it, her language definitely was inappropriate. I think her snatching him up a little bit, I don't think that was bad. She didn't really beat him like that. Like,
she really didn't.
No, like, she was like swinging with the belt or whatever, but it wasn't
like, it wasn't really connected.
No, little kids be dancing when you be trying to spank them. So that part wasn't bad. Just her verbiage, I think, was the worst. Me personally, I don't beat my kids like that. That's probably why they ask. Lord have mercy. Everybody be like, my cousin O should be like, them damn you're bad, Crystal. But I do allow my kids to express themselves.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
That's important, I think.
Now, Kamari and Zion, they're older, and when they were Teddy's age, me and their father were together, so it was different. They had both parents in the household, so it was easier to parent. Co-parenting is a little bit harder when it comes to spanking and discipline and stuff like that, because you have one parent over here that they live with solely, and then now you're calling the other parent to kind of discipline over the phone, because it's not like we live like right up the street from each other. We live like an hour away from one another. Oh, let me call on the phone and get you to discipline them over the phone. And then by the time they go down there, you know, for the weekend or whenever they go down there to visit or to spend time with their dad, then it's like it's forgotten about, in a sense. Especially if it's just something trivial around the house, like Teddy or something. Like sometimes he'll talk back or something like that. Like that, it's gone. You know, it's not like a bad grade where you can bring the report card and you're like, oh, hey, I remember this report card now. Like, let me holler at you about this. You know, so it's different. And even when we were in the same household, spanking them was always like a last option. Zion definitely is not the kid that you have to spank. You don't have to spank Zion for anything, because he listens, he follows directions, he's a good kid. And he doesn't do a whole lot of talk back or anything like that. Like sometimes he'll, you know, he got a little hair under his arm, so he want to smell himself a little bit. You know, he think he, you know, spray Axe on your chest.
You think he a man and shit.
Yeah, exactly. You know, your sideburn got outgrown because you ain't had a haircut in a week. Don't run out. Like, come on, you ain't got no beard growing, buddy. That's your sideburn. Stop it.
All right, now he 15, he got a whole mustache now, a whole beard.
His daddy's furry too, so Teddy has a mustache. That's why Teddy think he grown. I'll push his little self down. But so Zion is not hard to discipline. You tell him what he needs to do, and like you take his privileges away from him, like you take his computer away from him or his iPad or his TV, something like that. He's gonna straighten up. He's not gonna keep fucking off and doing the same thing that he's not supposed to be doing. And he doesn't like for people to confront him about his shortcomings. So like, say he has homework that he didn't do or something like that, and the teachers are like, oh, Zion, well, where's your homework? Then he's gonna feel bad about it. You know, he's not like the person like, I don't care. Next, you know, he's not that guy. So he's gonna feel bad about it, and then he's gonna do his best to make sure he catches up with it and does what he needs to do. Kamari, I mean, she's 13, so she's different. And she's a girl.
She a whole grown woman out here.
That's what she thinks.
Hey, man, 2 grown women in the house is a problem.
It's not going to work. I tell her all the time, listen, when you want to be an adult and you want to be a woman, then that's what I'm going to treat you like. Don't look for me for motherly advice or be motherly and cuddly to you, because I don't cuddle with no grown-ass woman. You understand? I cuddle with I cuddle with my man if I had one. No, I'm not cuddling with no grown woman. We're not friends like that. You're not my homegirl. None of that. You're not on my age. Hey, fall back.
Right.
You know, you want to be grown, then you go be grown over there in your space, and you need to run me my money for my rent and this light bill and stuff since you're grown. Now, if you want a mom to brush your hair and, you know, talk about what you got going on in school and, you know, things like that, then yeah, I can do that. But there comes a level of respect that you need to show me to get that. My job is only to provide. Keep a roof over your head, food in your belly, and make sure you go to these people's schools so you don't get no truancy. All the rest of that stuff, like listening to your day and all that, nobody said I had to do that. That is a privilege that is given to you when you give me the certain respect that I deserve as your mom. That's kind of how me and her handle things when it comes to being disrespectful and being disciplined and stuff like that. I don't spank her either. Like, I spanked both of them a year ago. Girl, Zion was shaking like a little leaf. That one did not want his behind cut. That was the funniest thing ever. Since they've been little, I might have spanked them maybe 6 times total. And it might have been less than that. Maybe 6 times. Because I'd rather talk to them and get them to understand. I don't do the whole I'm disappointed in you thing, because they laugh at that. They think it's funny. I guess they've seen it on TV and stuff, you know, so they think it's funny. I just pretty much tell them, hey, that's not going to work. I'm honest with my kids about how the world works.
Right.
Period. I don't sugarcoat anything. I don't make it like, oh, it's all roses and petals and whatever the case is. No, life is hard. And just because your mommy busts her butt and provides a good lifestyle for you does not mean that it is easy. You understand? A lot of single moms out here struggle, and they're trying to figure out the next check, or, you know, day to days. Like, just like the other day when her friends and stuff were over here, we were talking about the $1,000 a week or whatever the case is, and her friend was like, "That's a lot of money." No, that's really not a lot of money. That's really not a lot of money when you got 3 kids. You have rent, you have this, you have that. Kamari told me the other day, well, a couple weeks back, that she wanted to be a bartender. I was like, that's great. You know, that sounds fun. But what do you want to do Like, what do you want to do? Because you have to, the internet is there, so you can research everything. Find out how much it's going to cost for you to have an apartment. Find out how much it's going to cost for you to have the car that you want. Find out how much it's going to cost for you to keep your hair done, your nails done, go out and travel and all this other stuff. Then I want you to Google the salary for a well-paid bartender.
Like one of those, like,
top notch,
flipping tricks and
Google that.
In a high-end establishment.
Exactly. You Google that and then tell me what they make. And then I want you to put 10% in there that's going to be taken away from that salary for taxes.
Right.
That's Uncle Sam. Take that out.
And he going to get his.
And he going to get his. Whether it's at the beginning or at the end, he going to get it. You going to have to kick it out. So once you do all of that, then you come back to me and let me know if that's what you want to do. Because even though you're just sustaining you, is that going to sustain the lifestyle that you want to live?
That's really that's a solid thing.
And that's important. And she came back to me and told me, nope, Mom, I'm going to go ahead and be a pilot like Zion. Okay, no problem.
I got you guys covered. Shit. That's what shit my cousin said to me. She's a dentist in the Air Force. That's great. But that's not necessarily like what her dream was. Mm-hmm. She understood that being a dentist would sustain her lifestyle. Yeah. To where she could do whatever the fuck she wanted to do. Kamari could be a pilot, and then on her off time,
exactly,
be a bartender.
Exactly. And I know this is going far from spanking and discipline, but I think it all leads. You spank kids because why? They don't listen or they're not on the right path. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of instead of spanking, there are alternative options. Mm-hmm. You know, talking to them and being honest with them, not necessarily cursing them out, but letting them know what the world is really like. And then implementing those things within your home. I saw something on Facebook where a lady had jobs, like you could apply for different jobs, but it was household chores.
Oh, okay.
And stuff, like you get to wash the dishes and how much you make for that job. You know, things like that. So I think that's a good thing to implement to show, well, this is what you want to do. So when you're doing this is how much you're going to get paid for it. Which job is going to be best for you? What qualities do you have so that you can prepare yourself for the real world? Like start saying, okay, well, these are the qualities I have. I've washed dishes for 3 weeks before. Every time I go to my nana house, she makes me wash it. Like, I need to know, what are your qualifications? Why do I feel like you should be able to wash dishes?
Right.
Why do I feel like you know how to do the laundry? Things like that. And I think instilling those things will allow you to put value on what they know and help them to understand their worth.
Right.
Versus spanking the nothing out of them and just telling them, oh, this is wrong and this is not right and this is not how it should go. Explaining things to them so they can understand why it's wrong and they can understand why they need to change their behavior.
Like, I think that because I said so shit is super played out.
Yeah,
these kids are way more intelligent. You need to explain to them, hey, you did this wrong and this is why it's wrong.
Exactly.
And this is why this has to be a changed behavior.
Exactly.
Like, that is important and to have real life conversations. I feel like that's the one thing in African American households that tends to fall short. Is having open dialogue between parents and children. Why not?
Yeah, it's important because why send them out there with just the idea of discipline?
Right.
Like, if I do this wrong, then this is going to happen. Well, why is it wrong? Why is that considered wrong? Why do I need to change that behavior? Because if you're not explaining that portion for them, when they do it one time and they get away with it, then they're going to continue to do it because now they figured out a way, oh, I can do this and get away with it without being disciplined for it. Instead of understanding it's wrong because this. And when you instill that in them, I feel like they won't want to do the wrong anymore because they understand why it's wrong. They understand the consequences behind it as well. You know, not just you just telling them, oh, that's wrong, this is the consequence. You know, there's that gray area in the middle that they have to figure out, that you as a parent should figure out for them and give them those tools.
Right, like my grandfather, he was like pretty progressive. He was born in like the 1920s. But one thing he always said was that like beating your kids was slave mentality. So he didn't necessarily believe in beating his kids. Granny didn't, but
so my granny definitely believed in beating my ass. Not my granddaddy. He and the nigga didn't save us. Right?
He was like, hey.
Don't beat them, Jern. Well, she gonna do what she want to do anyway.
But you know what I'm saying? He looked at like it was slave mentality because to a certain extent it is. You know, when we were slaves, we were whipped into submission. To not have our own thoughts and our own feelings. And I think that shit is so important nowadays. Like,
your kids are already lost out here. You understand? They're already lost. So for you to continue to beat something into them when they don't even know the why Like, that's the problem.
And sometimes it's important, like, if your child does something wrong, why not have a conversation with them and ask them what was their thought process? Why did they feel this way? Why did they do A, B, and C? So maybe you have a clear understanding on how to move forward as well.
Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times kids do things that you think requires discipline, and they do it because they're acting out for attention for another reason.
Right, absolutely.
Instead of you just disciplining them, like you said, find out the reasoning why, so that you can get to the bottom of what they're streaming for attention for, instead of just ignoring it and then disciplining them. I think that builds resentment in a child.
It does.
Even though your kids are going to love you regardless. Me and my mom, we've argued and we've been through things or whatever, but my mom is still my mom and I love her to death, hands down. I think sometimes a conversation would have been better. Like, my mom is that type of mom, and my mom was a single mom, so she didn't really have a whole lot of time to be, coddling, and she's been working to provide for us. She's too busy trying to make sure we got a roof over our head, we got food in our stomach, we being taken care of.
Right.
Just with my kids, I feel like talking to them is always a positive thing. And you have to learn to listen to what they have to say and let them know when they're wrong. Like, sometimes kids have a tendency to cry for, like, everything. But you have to let them have their little moment. Okay, whatever. But at the end of the day, this is still wrong. Or this is the way that you go about something. Or whatever the case is,
Mm-hmm.
And not just dismiss how they feel or spank them and then think that's the end all that is all.
Right.
Yeah.
And take your kids' feelings into consideration. Like, they're still people. And I feel like a lot of times that gets dismissed. The fact that they are people.
Yeah.
They have feelings, they have thoughts, they have emotions. Let them be able to express that without feeling ashamed or like something is wrong because they do.
And another thing, I always tell myself, I try to make sure that I listen to the things that my kids say if they're angry about something. Like, Teddy has like kind of a bad attitude. So I feel like if I counteract that with a lot of love, then it should help. Because what I don't want to do is raise a whole bunch of fucked up adults. People that will turn into adults and then they all messed up.
Right.
That is my biggest thing. Like, I don't want to raise assholes. Like, asshole adults. I'm serious. Because so many times when you start dismissing people's feelings and stuff like that, someone is going to get to a breaking point.
Exactly.
And if they don't get to a breaking point and they just become submissive in that lifestyle where they're always conforming to what someone else feels, or their feelings are being like looked over and dismissed,
it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, then that's not going to be that person that's going to be a leader and stand up for themselves when they're in a situation where they need to stand up for themselves, and they going to get kind of swept by the wayside. There's nothing, I tell my kids all the time, don't be a follower.
Right.
Like, you have to be a leader. Like, when you see something wrong, then you stand up and you fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And you stand up for the right things. Someone is doing something in class and they think it's funny to bully the next person or whatever the case is, then you stand up and you be a better person than the person that's bullying them, and you let them know that's not right. Like in high school, people know I'm bullying the bully. What you talking about? Don't say nothing to them, period. Like, you're not about to bully somebody in front of me. That's not going to happen, because there's a problem and I'm going to be that problem for you, period. I don't think stuff like that is okay. And then with you with you spanking the kids, I feel like that kind of leads them in to either one, being the punching bag, or two, being a bully, because now they have all this pent up aggression, and they want to express that aggression, and they can't get what they have to say out at home, so now they're beating up other people's kids because they can't beat up their parents.
Right. And I mean, little things like spanking kids or whatever, it definitely does lead to aggression. Even like something as small as yelling. The one thing I had to realize, like, is yelling is a form of aggression that kids take on and they become aggressive. Like,
yes,
I feel like in some instances, yes, spanking your kids is warranted.
Yeah.
But not in every fucking instance. There's other ways. Like, I know when I was little, like, my mom used to beat me all the time. That shit didn't faze me all that much.
My mom used to beat me all the time.
But you know what used to, like, fuck with me the most? Like, when she, like, take my TV out of my room. I couldn't have no electronics.
Yeah.
And, like, but that also forced me to have a love of reading.
Mm-hmm.
And history and things of that nature, because I didn't have nothing else better to do. And I had this African American encyclopedia. I used to read that shit.
Girl, a couple weeks ago, the kids, they were bad, not doing what they're supposed to do, took the TV out of their rooms, and the boys didn't have TV for about Well, it's a whole week. I guess a whole week.
Not even a
They've
week.
been around here. Listen,
That's a brutal.
reading books. I felt like they gained so much knowledge in that week. Zion got all his iReady, all his Alex, AR stuff. Listen, knocked it out. I said, this is a positive thing. And I felt like they bonded more. Like, as siblings.
They don't have nothing else better to do.
Exactly. Exactly. They didn't have anything else better to do but play each other. I think they started playing, like with games. What is the thing called? Checkers?
Mm-hmm.
It was like playing checkers. They was playing, like, Uno.
Okay.
So, yeah. They got a chance to bond. I thought that was a positive thing. I should try it again. Maybe take my light bill down something.
It'll definitely take your light bill down. And let you know.
But spanking your kids, yes, that's a no-go. People say, oh, this child needs to be spanked.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to figure out I'm trying to figure out what it is that they've done. Even like as a small child, I didn't spank my kids and stuff like that. When you're talking like don't touch the stove or don't do this or whatever the case. No, I lied. So one time I did spank Teddy because he had it was a metal piece of something off of a toy or something, and he stuck it in the plug. Now I had said don't do that several times. That's gonna hurt you. And he still went and stuck it in the plug, and like that is something I don't think I would let him learn the hard way.
Right? No.
Like if there's a stove or an oven and you feel that once, because they all they gonna do is touch the outside, and their little hands ain't rough enough to even deal with the outside warmth on the glass for an oven, so when they feel that, they know, oh God, this is hot, I'm not gonna put my hand there anymore. But when it comes to something like electrical or whatever, that I did spank him for, because I couldn't. There's nothing that you could come back from with that,
right?
Had he hurt himself.
But some things, like even when we was in the military, I'm sure you heard some actions warrant an extreme emotional response.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And sometimes that's just really what, like, I remember a nigga, we was on the range, and like the nigga wasn't thinking, and his cover flew off into the range while niggas was shooting.
No.
So he ran down to go get it,
Tasha,
and the drill sergeant grabbed him and body slammed him into the ground. And I am 100% sure that nigga never attempted
to walk his ass or nobody ran. The police no brass. Like, I'm gonna just sit in this foxhole. I'm not gonna move.
Right? And maybe I'll just they issue more than one covers. Yeah. You'll be fine.
I'll be fine. I'll figure it out later.
You definitely have one in your ruck anyway. So if you lost that one, there should be another one.
You should have another one. You can.
But sometimes things require an extreme emotional response.
Yeah. And I don't think it's that many things that require that. The things that do, so even after, like with Teddy and the whole electrical thing, even after he did that and stuck the thing in the plug and I spanked him, I still allowed him to calm down and had a conversation with him about it.
Absolutely.
To let him know that is not okay. You can't do that. You're going to be gone from mommy.
You can't just be, like, I feel like it's wrong to just beat your kids without an explanation.
Yeah.
Like a conversation, like once you spank them or whatever, give them time to calm down. You guys come back together and hold a conversation.
Exactly.
Hey, listen, I love you, but this is why I had to do what I did. It doesn't negate the fact that I love you, but because I love you so much, this is what was necessary so you understand how important this situation is.
Exactly. I agree. If you are the type of parent that spank your kids, like, let's just start talking to the kids a little bit more.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out better ways to communicate with them and give them an opportunity. I think it's another good thing for you to give people their space to be angry, because anger is just another emotion, just like sadness or love. It's just another emotion that has to be expressed. So you should allow someone that space to express that emotion and not penalize them for those emotions.
Right. And I think it all comes down to allowing your child to express themselves. That's the one thing. I love my mother to death. I think she's an amazing parent. Never raised 5 kids by her goddamn self. But the one thing I could say where it was lacking is conversations about feelings and emotions and things of that nature. That's not some shit she talked about or dealt with.
Either. Yeah.
But that shit is important. That's why I'm paying all this fucking money every week to go see a fucking therapist right now.
I mean, that's not a bad thing, Tasha. That's a positive thing.
Yeah, but maybe if I had talked about feelings and emotions when I was young, I wouldn't be paying a whole bitch right now to talk about feelings and emotions.
Well, since you're talking about therapists and stuff like that, let's talk about the other topic, medicating children.
Ooh.
When I say medicating children, I'm talking about medication across the board. Vaccinations, medicating them as far as ADHD, which Dr. Umar, he had a lot to say about that. So let me start with this. I personally, my kids have all their vaccinations when it comes to being able to be enrolled in school. Mm-hmm. They have all those vaccinations. Mm-hmm. Now, everything else that comes behind that, when they have all these other things to say as far as, oh, the HPV virus or the flu vaccination or this and that and, you know, all these other things, I definitely don't give my kids any of that.
No, I'll say this, okay? So, yes, like, I know me personally, as far as, like, all the vaccinations necessary to enroll in school, absolutely. And I joined the military fresh out of high school. So, you know, in the military, you got to get the flu shot. Like, you don't really
Tasha,
have...
did they give y'all a line of shots when you was in the military?
Fuck yeah, a bunch of them, my nigga.
I hate them. And I was afraid of needles. Tasha, that was the
worst day of my life. You gotta be a whole gangster.
No,
ain't no way around that
I don't care, girl. I cried.
No.
Judge me if you want to, but what you won't do is run up in my face. I am scared of these needles. I am crying. Where's my mama?
I ain't gonna lie. Like, to be honest with you, like, I've never really been super afraid of needles. To be honest with you, I never was afraid of needles until very recently. Mm-hmm. My last hospitalization, where, like, my veins were super short because I was sick. Mm-hmm. So, like, them niggas would be digging up in my arm. I'd be bruised up and all kinds of stupid shit.
No, ma'am.
But, like, after basic AIT, when I got to my unit, you had an option. You could take the shot or you could snort that shit. Like, they had
the little note.
I would do the mist, and then it was like, oh, you couldn't smoke for a particular amount of time. But as soon as I took the mist and got up, I went straight to period. Smoke a cigarette. Back to Dr. Umar or whatever. At time, like, you know, yes, he is a child psychologist and things of that nature, but I disagree with him on that aspect of, like, ADHD and things like that. It was like, oh, ain't no daddy in the house and shit like that. Like, no, that's a real life fucking issue. As an adult, that's something I struggle with.
He was saying that it's not a real life issue. I think he was saying them medicating children because of it is an issue. And that's my, like, I have similar views to him as far as when it comes to medicating children for certain things. Not everyone is the same. And when they medicate children to put everyone on the same platform, I don't think that's okay, because you're stifling one child's abilities. Like, that child may very well be someone that could be a great person, a great artist, you know, whatever the case is. And they're stifled because you want to give them medication because they're not sitting still in a classroom for 40 minutes for this lesson and 40 minutes for this lesson, or whatever the case is. I think that's unreasonable to think that a child can sit still that long anyway. Kids get recess up until they're in the 5th grade.
Right.
You know?
No. I don't know. No, like, for me, in middle school, we had recess.
We definitely didn't have recess. I mean, we had gym. You know,
no,
but we had
like recess. After, like, in middle school after lunch, we had like, I think it was like 30 or 40 minutes of recess in my middle school. It wasn't until high school that we stopped having recess.
Yeah, I guess they cut us off cold turkey. We went from elementary school, and when we got in middle school, we had no recess. You had, like, your gym period. In the morning, if you got there early enough, you could, like, jump rope or, you know, do whatever in the mornings before the first bell rang. But anything after that, no, it was a curriculum.
But I mean, like, I know for me personally, right? Like, yes, I was extremely intelligent and to a certain extent ahead of my class. And because of that, like, a teacher may put a worksheet in front of me. I finish that shit in 5 minutes. It takes the rest of the class 30 minutes. After my 5 minutes of me completing that shit, I'm bored and somebody needs to fucking entertain me, or I plan on disrupting this entire goddamn class.
You horrible.
I'm dead ass serious. Like, I used to disrupt the fuck out of classes and stuff. Like, it wasn't until, like, shit, damn near I became an adult that I realized that the reason why I had a certain level of, like, disruptive behavior wasn't because I was a bad kid, but because I was an advanced kid. So
you needed more.
I needed more stimulation than other kids needed, or whatever. So because of that, it caused a lot of issue. The only thing that saved me, and, like, that's like what Dr. Umar Johnson talks about a lot, and I agree with him, is the only thing that saved me from being in, like, a special education class was the fact that I always tested well, and I always scored well in school. Yeah. Had I faltered in any one of those ways, they wanted to put me in special education. Yeah. Because I was disruptive as fuck. Yeah. I didn't want to follow nobody rules or directions. I want to do the fuck I want to do.
Whatever Tasha wanted to do, this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, like they'd be like, hey, the rest of the class needs to do this. I'd be like, no, that doesn't look like something I want to do. So I'm gonna go over here and do what the fuck I want to do.
Do something else.
Even like, what I'm saying, like with Marie or whatever, that was one of my biggest fears. And when they put the offer on the table for her to test out of first grade midway through and go into the second grade, I was angry at first with my ex for not allowing it to happen. Yeah. But then once she explained it to me, it's like, yes, intellectually, she could do that. But as far as developmentally, with being with those older kids, the shit wouldn't be good for her. Yeah. But I got it. But I knew, with me and my ex or whatever, like she was always a goody two shoes. Like she kind of,
told the line with things.
Told the line, whereas like Marie and me understood each other differently because we were both intelligent and both thought outside the box. So sitting in somebody's classroom and just going where the fuck they tell us, that shit ain't like there was this young boy, this shit happened a couple years ago. It was all over Instagram and Twitter and shit like that. King, I can't think of the young man's last name, but it was Columbus Day. And he was like, I think we should have Columbus Day off, even though it's a lie that Christopher Columbus founded the United States, and and my mama said the only Christopher we acknowledge is Wallace.
Amen to that. The young man that we talking about.
Hey, he's gonna be a senator one day. Only Christopher we acknowledge is Wallace.
Exactly. You can't knock the young man. But as far as medication, getting that shit ain't putting kids in that position. I think a lot of the times parents don't know, and the school almost makes them feel like they're in a situation where they don't have a choice. Right. Like it's either you do this or we're gonna this is the alternative for the child. Like either you need to medicate him or her, or they're going to be placed in this class, or they're going to be sent to this school, or whatever the case is. It's nothing. I hate pretend help.
But in reality, it's not like really help. It's just
exactly. It's pretend help. You acting like you're trying to resolve an issue, but you giving me two fuck ass options. Right. At the end of the day,
either you gonna put my child in a special education class where they don't belong, or I have to medicate my child.
Exactly. At no point you say, "Well, this is how this child is testing. This is what's going on with this child." I feel like they need to be taught in a different manner. They need to be taught in art school or something like that. Like
so fucking important. Like that's why what I'm saying. Like right now, I'm working on my degree in education because that shit is so fucking important. Like not every kid can be taught the exact same way. Exactly. And these teachers are underpaid or whatever. They're overworked. They're stressed out trying to meet these quotas and A, B, and C. So they don't really give a fuck. Exactly. They're just like, oh, well, this motherfucker. And, like, that's some shit I dealt with. I know personally with being in school is very few teachers wanted to deal with me because it required more work than the other kids. So it was easier to try to medicate me or try to put me in special classes and A, B, and C. Like, the first time, like, to be honest with you, a teacher actually saw my potential and wanted to push me forward was my 5th grade teacher. She saw my potential and put me in ACE. It was like accelerated class. Yeah. In elementary school, like I spent the majority of the day in my regular class, but it was a chunk of the day I spent in the accelerated class. Yeah. Or whatever, and you had to test in. And I think I saw my behavior change when I went into the 8th class.
And you felt challenged by the work.
There was that challenge. And then it wasn't again until my freshman year of high school with my English teacher. And, like, I bullshitted, like, an assignment. And, like, the bitch failed me. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, no.
And then she was like, you half-assed this, Miss Shine. You could do so much better.
How do you feel about that, Tasha?
I mean, I think it allowed me to understand that I have a passion for certain things, but I don't really like doing anything that requires a whole hell of a lot of work.
Yeah.
So that shit is hard.
Also, I know we're talking about medicating kids and things of that nature, right? But when it comes to teaching kids that they feel need medication, they just have more energy than the other kids, and their energy needs to be focused
in different ways.
into one thing. Another thing is they need to start allowing different options in schools. Like they have it for high schools and stuff like that. And I mean, I understand that children have to learn the core things of life.
Right.
That's understandable. And generally they start off trying to medicate kids when they're younger. You know?
I don't think that, and I'm honest, I don't think that shit is right. Because a lot of times they're misdiagnosed. A lot of times, you know, they try to say these kids have like learning disabilities and ADHD. In reality, they really fucking don't. It's just they learn differently than other kids. You know, there's some kids who auditory learners to where they can listen to some shit
exactly
and pick it up immediately. And there's some kids who can look at shit and pick it up immediately.
And some people are doers. They have to, you know,
they gotta
physically do things. And I think those are tests. When they have those kids that have issues like that, and that's what I was trying to get to, when they have children that have issues like that, where they feel like the child needs to be medicated because they're hyper or whatever the case is, and they have an attention deficit or whatever they want to call it, tests like that are things that need to be ran to see how does that child learn best.
Right.
Because if the option that is placed in front of them isn't the best way for them to learn, then they're never going to learn that way, and you're always going to look at them as disruptive because that's not that just doesn't work for them, you know. So I think that's something that should be implemented when they're sending kids through these so-called tests to see if they're ADHD or whatever, you know, how they learn is something important that they should look into as well.
Because I mean, like, they want to label kids as like, I know, like my mom or whatever, like the one thing she was very adamant about when they wanted to test me for ADHD, she flat out refused because she was in a position to where she didn't want them to label me and then cast me away somewhere. Say, oh, well, she has this learning disability, that learning disability, so she can't learn, so let's put her here away from everybody else. When that reality, I just needed to be stimulated differently than other kids. And, you know, and I think that comes back to, like, the broken school system that we deal with. Like, when there's 35 kids in the class, I'm sorry, even the best intentioned teacher cannot reach all of them.
Yeah, that is true.
And I think that's why we need to make these classes smaller, employ more teachers, pay them better, to be able to point these things out and understand that, you know, if you have 15 kids in your class, you know, 5 of them learn this way, 5 learn this way, 5 learn that way, but you're able to contour your lesson to touch each one of them to where they all understand and they're able to grasp what's going on.
I agree.
Like one of my homegirls, Tara, she teaches like 4th grade, and the nigga came and slapped her ass.
No,
little boy.
Tasha, we gonna move on past this because I don't know.
Yeah, man, slap her bunkie.
No, girl. Listen,
walk up and slap that young lady bunkie.
Girl, that is a problem. That is a whole problem.
Now, if she had boxed his whole ass off, that would be a problem. They'd be out here trying to fire her and shit.
Oh, Lord, have mercy. That is a problem. Not only that, with medicating kids, how do you feel about, like, vaccinations that they have? Because my kids don't take the flu shot ever. And let me tell you why. Because every year, do you know they change that shot and the mixture of whatever they have in that every year? That is a problem for me.
Because of the strain.
Listen, and that is a problem for me. You're trying to tell me each year you're changing something. You haven't even had time to test, like, how, Sway? No, I'm fine.
I ain't gonna lie. I guess the only reason I don't really feel the way is because, you know, for 9 years, I had to take it regardless of how I felt about the situation. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have any kids, so I don't.
Yeah, no, I don't.
I ain't gonna lie. I don't. I don't know just because I don't have any kids.
And then they have the HPV shot that you should give to like your teenager. No, you're supposed to give it to all of them.
Oh, I thought it was just for girls.
No, for all of them, boys and girls, because any of them can contract whatever this HPV virus is.
So
and my thing is,
I don't really understand the HPV HPV all
I just don't like the things that are so new. My daughter was like, am I going to take that? I was like, no. I didn't get it. I'm fine. Like, my only thing is, where's the test? How long has this been tested for?
Not long at all.
Not long. And then now, 10 years down the line, you got a commercial talking about, did you take the HPV vaccination? No, what you won't do is have no class action lawsuit in my child involved. Because now she about to lose a whole, liver or something? Her
eyes falling out her head and shit for no reason.
That's what I'm saying. I don't like all of that. The same thing with those cigarette, those what is it? The e-cigs.
That's why they changed
stuff like that. As soon as that thing pop out, everybody, big puffs of smoke. Everybody smoking, puffing, doing this, doing that. And then now people out here dying behind it.
That's why they
because
changed
it hasn't been tested that
cigarettes. Like you gotta be 20. Like you gotta be 21 to smoke in South Carolina now.
That for me, that is just
that shit
crazy.
is wild.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I feel about vaccinations and things like that. I'm not about to put my kids out there on the line when I don't know for sure it's been tested for an extended period of time and you know what the side effects are. Then later down the line you telling me that it causes HP. No, I don't have time for any of that. And
I don't fuck around and end up like unable to procreate shit.
Exactly. Not no.
Your son's soldiers don't work and shit. No.
Thank you.
Now niggas looking at him wild.
Exactly. He trying to go to a fertility clinic. No, ma'am. I refuse.
That's terrible.
I'm just saying. Because he not taking HPV shot? No. That's not something that they have to take. And if they start implementing that as being something that they have to take to go into middle or high school, that is going to be a problem for me.
Oh, yeah.
My kids almost done. Teddy's still real young. So I still got some time. But I'm just crossing my fingers that does not become one of the regular shots that they have to take. You tying people's hands. Like, I understand deadly viruses and stuff like that. I get it. But when it comes to things like that, I don't think that's necessary. HPV vaccination,
having them like
other medications
super
for the children.
Depressing ass commercials where nigga get that shit and died within 24 hours and shit.
No, Tasha, I can't.
The bitch is in college. She laying in the bed sick. Her mama keep calling her. She not answering, and the bitch end up dying within 24 hours.
That's a little extreme. So as far as medicating children are concerned, I guess just do your research.
Absolutely. Like I don't think like a parent should be ignorant about those things, and don't let the school tell you what's best for your child. You do the research and you figure it out.
Mandating that stuff.
And sometimes, a lot of times parents tend to go with what like the school psychologist says. No, get your own psychologist and figure that shit out.
I agree. So on to the next thing. Baby mama and baby daddy drama.
Now that's something I'm blessed. I ain't gonna lie. The reason why I don't have no kids is because I can't.
I think drama is in the eye of the beholder. I agree. So there was this video on Facebook. It might have been on Instagram and everywhere else or whatever, but I saw it on Facebook. So the girl dropped the baby off to the dad, and she went to go pick the baby up. When she went to go pick the baby up, the dad didn't send the baby back with all the things that she had sent with the baby as far as clothes and stuff like that. So now he's like, well, you don't need it. And she's like literally there begging him for the clothes. She's like, I'll wash the clothes if it's dirty. That's not a problem. Just give me her things, so because she doesn't have anything else. And when I tell you this guy refused to give her the things, like they stood there for at least like 5 minutes going back and forth about some shit that she brought. I think situations like that, man, you have to be careful who you have kids with first.
That's what's really 100% the most important shit ever.
I'm trying to tell you, people be out here like one night standing it and all this other random stuff, and then ending up pregnant for these random guys who you don't even know their temperament, you don't even know what they're even really like. Like, that shit is crazy. Like,
I ain't gonna lie, like one thing like I learned very early on in life, like if I come across a dude that has kids, I'm absolutely watching how he treats his kids, the time he spends with kids and shit like that.
Absolutely.
Like, hey, bitch, I want you to be very well aware of the fact that you are not special. Regardless of what that nigga tell you, aren't special. Just because if he treats Sally like trash with her fucking kids that are his, he gonna treat you like trash too. Like,
just the same.
Like, bitches be out here thinking they special.
And the same thing with respect. Like, I feel like if a guy disrespects his child's mom, then where does that leave you? I feel like you're going to be disrespected just the same. Exactly. Because at the end of the day, you have to look at it like this. that woman brought his children's lives into this world. So what makes you any different from her? I mean, I understand people have a past and things happen and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, respect is respect. One thing that I like with Jada Pinkett, like she was talking about on Red Table Talk, she had Will Smith's first wife on there, and she was just saying how one time, I think the ex-wife called the house or something looking for the older son, and she kind of got smart with her and hung up the phone on her or something along those lines. And in that moment, I guess when she told Will kind of went off on her, you know, in a sense, pretty much telling her, don't disrespect the mother of my child. That is his mother. That's my situation. You're just somewhat privy to the situation, but it's not your situation. At the end of the day, it's mine, and you need to respect any situation that I have going on.
Right.
If a guy were to tell me something like that, I wouldn't even be offended. First, I'm not that type of person that would even cause drama in that way, because I think it's petty. I think it's beneath me. Say what you want to say. I think it's beneath me. I don't have time for it. That requires too much energy for me to, I don't have time for it. Yeah, exactly. But for someone to stand up for the mother of their children in that manner, it wouldn't offend me.
Absolutely. It shouldn't.
Yeah.
My thing is, at the end of the day, my ex, we raised a kid together from the time she was 5 months old until the time she was almost 7 years old. So regardless of what type of beef or animosity her and I may have between one another, like, no bitch could ever come in my life and disrespect her in my presence. If you don't like her, that's cool. Don't like her.
Exactly.
But don't ever come in my presence and disrespect her.
Exactly. And I don't like when guys talk about their baby mama something to you, like put them down to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with, like, the guy and his baby mama, like, had a argument or something, and they're coming and explaining.
Yeah, that's different.
But if they just out here trashing their baby mama all kind of way, man, like,
that's a problem.
How could that shit ever be, like, cute to you? And there's bitches out here who, like, self-esteem is so low they think that shit is cute.
And to be honest, females doing the same thing. I think this shit is unacceptable. I think it's just, you made that decision. That was your choice to sleep with that person and procreate.
Shoot your club out.
you chose to procreate with that person. So don't sit there and act like, oh, now it's just this big mistake or whatever the case is. Because at the end of the day, when you laid your ass down, you knew exactly what the possible outcomes were. You could either catch an STD, you could either catch a baby, or you could just catch a nut. And so at the end of the day, it's yours.
$39.99 at CVS.
$39.99. Why do I talk with you? I swear to God.
I'm just saying. $39.99 at CVS.
This is true, I guess.
You don't need no health insurance or nothing.
She said you don't need no health insurance or nothing.
At CVS.
Oh goodness, but I think you as an individual, you have to make those decisions. And it's 2020. Like, that whole baby mama, or I don't want you to see the kids because you don't go with me, and that shit is so left over and so played out in my eyes. I don't see the reason why.
I don't eat, like, Crystal says she don't watch it because it's foolishness. Or Life After Lockup.
Foolishness.
And it's one particular, like, couple. It's oh god, Sarah and I can't think of the nigga name. That nigga trash. Anyway. He's white girl, it's white guy. They got 2 kids together. Like a newborn who maybe like 4 or 5 months old. And then a little girl that's like 4 or 5 years old. And she's upset because, you know what I'm saying, like, she added her baby daddy to her cell phone plan. But the only reason she did it is so that, like, the kids would all, like, the little girl would always have access to be able to pick up the phone and call her dad and this and that. But that nigga be talking to everybody about his fucking kids.
Oh, wow.
Alright, that nigga got bitches all over the United States. I don't understand how y'all watch Life After Lockup and still be cash apping this nigga. Like, that nigga be making like a couple $1,000s a month.
No.
Off of bitches.
Still. Even after watching the show. The show out there, and they still
they in like their 3rd or 4th season on the show.
I don't know. I'm not big on.
And that nigga's still out here
money anyway. The same way that I can.
I can't listen. If a nigga text me like, "Oh, I ain't in a tight spot," can you catch? No, I can't catch that. You a motherfucking thing.
No.
I don't.
We got to be in a whole real life relationship.
No.
Like, we a team.
Not even then.
No, I wouldn't. If I'm in a relationship,
if that nigga out here like working, busting his ass, doing what the fuck he gotta do, and he falls short, I get that.
Yeah, or like some type of emergency or something like that.
But that nigga is different. Like, that nigga has yet to work a real life job since he got out of jail.
And like I said, we got to be in a whole real life relationship. Like, not no play relationship. We know it's public. It ain't no beating around the bush about it. We hold each other down type thing. That's the type of relationship. It can't be, oh, I like you today and I'm gonna just run you something. No,
like, but bitches be out here cash apping the fuck out that nigga.
No.
Like that's how that nigga survived and lived.
No, that's
is off of bitches cash apping.
And he still don't reach out to his kids or anything like that.
No.
And that's saying is you can't force somebody to be a parent, right? And I think the guys that want to be parents, I don't think you should block them from being parents either. Children need both parents at the end of the day. Now, if you're blocking them from being their parent because their parent is a fucked up individual and you don't want your kids to have any type of emotional things going on, like they may be verbally abusive or something like that, then that's understandable. But if you think they just a fucked up individual because, oh, they got another girlfriend, or, you know, they talking to this girl that, whatever the case is, like, now that's a little much. Right. You know, I think that's you being upset about the situation. That's not that person being an irresponsible person. That's just something that you don't agree with, and you got an attitude about it, which you need to tighten up with. You know, a lot of times the people that are single parents and stuff out here, they might have very well come up in a single parent household. So you know the struggles or the void that builds in your life when you don't have a father there, or if you're a single dad and it's the reverse and you don't have the mom there, or whatever the case is, you know what that void is. So for you to ignore that just because you have an attitude, like, I think that shit is not cool at all. And people need to stop doing that, because that shit is whack. I don't even know a better word for it. This shit is whack.
Like, I feel like if you and, you know, the father of your kids have friction, but he's a good parent, you gotta let that shit be. You gotta swallow your pride.
Yeah.
Like, it's me putting myself out there, whatever. Like, my ex's spouse and I formed a pretty good relationship because both of us understood that at the end of the day, Marie was the number one of
priority.
What makes her happy? Is seeing all of us beefing gonna make her happy? No, it's gonna make her confused, gonna make her frustrated, it's gonna make her emotional.
Exactly.
So if that means all of us having to swallow our pride for her to be happy, cool, I'll do that.
Yeah.
That's not a problem for me. But there's a lot of people out here in these streets who, you know what I'm saying, are more into, oh, you did me wrong, so I'm gonna do you wrong, and I'm not gonna let you around the kids, and that A, B, and C. Like,
that's a little much.
Like when I watched Life After Lockup, whatever, his nigga name was Michael, right?
So she gotta get
and Michael was like, the only reason because he married his baby mama. He was like, the only reason he married his baby mama is because, like, he knew if he didn't marry her, that, like, she would keep the kids away from him. Oh, no. Like, no, it's because you a sorry excuse for a fucking man and a sorry excuse for a fucking parent, and you knew that marrying her would keep her under your wing, to where she wouldn't walk out on your ass. It's just like, there was this one particular scene that shit had break my heart, low key, because like, she went to go call her dad. The little girl, she's like 4 or 5. She went to go call her dad. The nigga didn't answer. She tried like 2 or 3 different times. He didn't answer. So what the mom did was be like, oh, well, call my other phone and then you can talk to your dad. And she pretended to be
her dad. Oh, wow.
And
that's
talk
sad.
To him. That's some sad shit.
Yeah.
While he out here trying to stick his pee-pee in everybody.
Yeah, things like that are definitely sad. Like, if you have the opportunity to be a parent, I think you should take full advantage of being a parent, because they don't ask to come here.
No.
And for you to have friction with your partner, I know sometimes co-parenting can be hard. It's not always easy, because I co-parent with my children's father, and I'm not the baby mama who gonna hold them kids from you. You say you what?
Turn the fuck off.
Hey, pack your bags, put your shoes on. I'll go and see your daddy. You understand? So I'm not that one.
Bitches be out here like, oh, I'm mad at my baby daddy, so I'm gonna keep. No, fuck that. If I'm mad at my baby daddy, I go and turn to him.
Here you go.
Hey, I might be out here trying to do bald headed whole shit.
No,
I'm gonna drop and turn off right at your fucking house.
No. I just think it's important for them to have that line of communication. Like I said, I have 2 sons. So they definitely need a male figure in their life to keep them straight. Because Teddy that fucking Teddy, like, he be testing everything in me. I'm gonna tell you right now, like, he really be testing me. So for him to have a male figure to, like, all that energy he got going on. Is it
different when he's with his dad? When he's with Pie? Mm-hmm. He don't be trying to pun all kind of ways.
No, cause and their dad don't spank them, but just his presence is enough.
Yeah.
He tells Teddy something all the time when he starts all that yapping and being bad. What is it? Ears open, mouth closed, mind thinking, or something like that. Mm-hmm. So he can, like, hey, simmer down. You need to be thinking about what somebody's saying to you, looking at what's going on around you. Focus yourself, you know. So he says that to him, and it kind of calms him down. It doesn't give him such a bad attitude. He still will have an attitude, but he's not like you know, doing his little tantrum thing or whatever, which I think is a positive thing. So I put them in the car quick, fast. School out, shit. Don't worry, I packed your bags. None of that. They got to go. Like I said, I think it's important to have both parents in a child's life. That parent is not a messed up individual, then I think they need to be in the parent. And when I say messed up individual, like I said earlier, if they are not being, like, abusive or, like, a negative effect on the child's life, just because you don't like the nigga and y'all ain't together, or you don't like the lady and y'all don't go together or whatever, doesn't mean that you need to hold the kids from that.
Right. That is trash.
Yeah, that is absolute trash. It's pointless. All it's going to do is cause,
you
like...
can hate a nigga, but he be a good parent.
Yeah, exactly. I don't like my baby daddy. I mean, we try to be friendly, you know. I would like to be friends. Like, and that's really with any ex. I would like to be friends. I don't want to not be friends with someone just because or whatever, even though they did the wrong thing, or, you know, I'm the type of person, I take responsibility for my actions inside a situation or whatever. Right. So, you know, things that happen, it didn't work out in the best for us. It's not going to work. So I removed myself from the situation or whatever, and now it's time to move forward. But in moving forward, that doesn't mean I have to cut you out of your children's lives, you know, because at the end of the day, I didn't make the kids by myself. You're still their parent, and it is what it is, like, period. So on to the next thing, discipline in schools.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
I feel like there should definitely be a balance. Like, I don't feel like ISS works. Like, I just don't. I feel like unless the parents are well aware, which in a lot of cases, depending on how much a parent works, they might not even know that, like, their kid is suspended and has been sitting home all fucking day. Because I know, me personally, there's been several occasions in which I've gotten suspended from school, and I've set my black ass in that house. And Claire's been at work, so she hasn't even noticed that I was at the house all fucking day. You know what I'm saying? Because she went to work before the bus even came, and came home late at night, so she had no clue. Yeah. So my mom is nosy, and if we suspended, she knows. And ain't no way around it. I grew up in, like, a small town. People knew each other. My mom's friend worked at the middle school. When I was in elementary school, my mom worked at the elementary school. When I got in high school, my mom wasn't working anymore because she had seizures and stuff, so she became disabled. She couldn't work and stuff. So she was definitely right there at the school. So it was hard for me. Yeah. So it was hard for me to be like, oh, I'm going to just not, you know, go to school, or, you know, I'm suspended, and that's the type of discipline. When I say discipline, a lot of people think of, you know, spankings and things of that nature. Discipline for me at school, I think, should fall under things like picking up litter around the school. I agree. Or, like, painting, graffiti and things like that nature. Why not?
Exactly.
I feel like there's nothing wrong with taking pride in your school.
Exactly. And I don't think that sitting the kids in a room like ISS and stuff like that, as far as an option for discipline. It is never,
like, man, listen.
I feel like they're trying to prepare my kids for jail.
Yeah, like, I don't like that. I'm telling you from somebody who know personally. I have a first-hand account. ISS never did anything to deter me from doing the wrong thing. Yeah, I agree. I don't think at one point in time, I was like, hey, I'd rather you just suspend me so I can sit at home and watch TV all day.
Yeah, I don't think spankings are it. Like, I remember my mom used to say when they went to school, somebody had a paddle or something like that. I don't think that's it, because I don't think nobody else should put their hand on people's kids.
No, I feel like I blocked somebody whole ass off.
Yeah. There's no reason for you to hit my kid. Like, that's crazy. Definitely something that they need to do to be productive, making them work extra hard to do something, you know, like cleaning the gum from under tables or, you know, something like that. Making sure the school is clean and taking pride so they know the next time I get in trouble, I'm going to have to do that. Or they also feel like I'm not going to put that there because the last time I had to clean that up.
Right. You know? Like, it's like, don't put no gum on. Like, I know not to put gum.
Exactly.
Like, as I grew older and things like that, there's certain things I understood. Like, my mom at one point in time was a waitress, so the way I, like, even if a waitress is trash, I'ma still treat her with a certain, I mean, unless she just out here just being like wild and disrespectful, I'ma be respectful because I understand, like, you probably got kids at home you gotta feed,
exactly,
or whatever, like, and that's how things are. Like, if you gotta scrape gum off of a table, you'll have more consideration next time you are chewing gum and you go to want to put it on the table. You're like, somebody else got to clean that up. Let me just throw it in. I mean, throw it in decent the trash. People.
Exactly.
I mean, there are people in these streets who just aren't decent motherfuckers.
Yeah, that's true.
But, you know, 80% of the world's population are decent, and they'll be like, let me not do it that way, you know?
Yeah, I agree. So just discipline in itself, I definitely think it needs to be something that is implemented in schools in a better way. To teach kids, like, instill morals in them.
And I feel like even with, like, suspension, like, out of school suspension. Yeah. Like, a kid is out of school for, you know, 1 to 3 days. What is that kid learning? Yeah. Absolutely nothing.
Nothing, exactly.
Like, I know me, I'm naturally finesser. So, in my mind, when I was suspended from school, only thing I knew was that you couldn't use it against me as truancy, and it couldn't be used against me as far as my grades were concerned. So you could suspend me as many times you wanted to. That just meant days out of school. And my mama was working out here, paying for a sophomore in college, new U.S. Navy fucking seaman, me, and then my little sister who was freshly in a goddamn private school. Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, the last thing she was thinking about was me being home all day. Like, she didn't know I was home doing nothing. Like, it was very rare. Exactly. And they used to call the house phone. I was home.
I was home.
Pick that shit up, hang up. You know what I'm saying? So, it was very different or whatever for me because I had a mother who was on her grind differently. Yeah. But, you know, maybe they had made me do something different or punish me in a different way, I would have understood and respected it and not wanted to do that shit again.
And kids that are, like, on the wrong path that may not necessarily have that, you know, those parental figures in place like they need to be, them getting suspended could definitely lead them to a path where, like, just out of school suspension. Like, I know if they're getting a fight or something, they're supposed to be an out of school suspension, but those days out of school could definitely lead them into something like, especially if they're older, like, now you going on the block with the big boys, right, and stuff like that, where it's leading them down the wrong path, and now they're out here like, oh, well, I can get money, so, you know, I'm gonna just keep getting suspended.
I don't have any kids, but I have friends who have kids, and I feel like with the friends that I have that have kids, I feel like I need to move in a different type of way, because no, I'm not their parent, but if them little niggas come to me and see some shit, hey, yeah, you doing the wrong fucking thing. You fucking up out here in these streets. Exactly. You know? And them to be able to respect that shit. Whereas now, like, that shit ain't, like, back in the day, man, like, these dope boys, these drug dealers and shit, if a little boy wanted to be out there slinging drugs, that dope boy will say, man, this ain't what you want, man. Carry your ass to school, learn something. This not the life you want. Yeah. Whereas now, these rappers and shit, they glorify this lifestyle. Yeah. It's not really the lifestyle nigga want to live.
No, it's not. And I think I said that on, I was talking about that on the other one, on the recap, about people putting a certain level of pressure on people to do the wrong thing or whatever. I just think discipline needs to be done in a more meticulous manner versus just the basic. Because when you, like, for me, suspending a child is just removing the problem. It's not helping the child. Right. It's just, oh, let me put this problem to the side and then we'll deal with it when they get back. Yeah. And if they come back and it's the same problem, we'll get rid of them again. Right. It's like removing them from the society that they operate in and putting them damn near in jail, like in their own space. But I feel like ostracizing them.
I feel like that comes, especially with African American kids, I feel like that's where the school to prison pipeline comes in. Yeah. You've been suspended so many times, you've missed so much. or whatever, to where it's damn near impossible to keep up, and you continue doing the wrong thing because no one showed you anything different.
Exactly.
And you transition into the prison pipeline.
Exactly.
And you do the same shit, within the prison complex.
Yeah, exactly. And you keep being displaced. I think that's the main thing. Keep displacing the students. Like moving them outside of any group that they familiar with. When they're in trouble. Either you put them in ISS or you're kicking them out of school, things like that. I just think we need to figure out a different way.
It's kind of like, what does isolation really do?
Exactly.
To deter the behavior.
It doesn't really do anything. I mean, I know people put children in timeout so that they can think about what they've done wrong and things of that nature.
But that's 15, 20 minutes versus days.
And not even
where
that
you force
long.
A person to be
generally
isolated.
Timeout is something that's done for the younger kids, and it's not even 15 minutes, like maybe 5, 10, maybe 10 minutes. You know what I mean? And probably not that long all the time. But with those things, I think with timeout for children that young, it gives them a chance to calm down, to
reevaluate
what they've done, and then kind of come back to the table with it. But with suspension and putting them in ISS, I think it's just like you said, isolation and removing them from what kind of like general population. You moving them and you putting them in solitary confinement.
Because let's be honest, I don't know about anybody else, but I spent a very large portion of my middle school and high school time in ISS. And I'm gonna be honest with you, like the majority of that time, like you're at a fucking desk to where there's like,
it's like a cubicle.
Yeah, it's like cubicle to where you can't see anyone else around. You can't see anybody in front of you. They give you some work to do or whatever, and that's it. And how the fuck does that deter a person from doing the wrong thing? Why isn't it explained to me, to little, 11, 12, 13-year-old Natasha, that, hey, what you're doing is wrong and this is the reason why. Yeah. And let's figure out why you have emotional outbursts. Why you have, like spouts of angry, outbursts and shit like that. Why not
talk about that?
Versus
shit. Just disciplining it.
Instead of throwing me in a fucking trailer in the back of the goddamn school for the majority of the fucking day. Yeah. Like, how does that help me?
And the boys would have feed you bag lunch too. Them lunch
no. Like when we can go to the lunchroom. But we went to the lunchroom like stupid wild, like what?
Like early.
Like real early.
Yeah.
Like dumb early. And then you hungry for the rest of the fucking day because you can't go to the lunchroom. I mean, you can't go like to the goddamn snack machine, nothing. Like you sitting there hungry for the rest of the fucking day.
And all that is conditioning. I feel like prison.
Like what's the difference between that and fucking being in jail?
Because now it's like you in solitary confinement. You get your food then, like at this point, and if you're hungry the rest of it, that's your business. So if they can just find different ways to, I guess, discipline kids, for me, that would be a positive thing with the whole school thing altogether. Other than ISS and suspending students, and definitely like corporal punishment type things. That's not it. And I think they have the PTA boards and stuff like that. They should come up with different ideas to discipline kids so that we can stop ostracizing them when they are in trouble and things of that nature. I agree.
And I understand. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, my mother raising 5 kids alone, being a part of the PTA was just not an option.
Yeah, it is tough when you're.
But it's some shit you gotta make time for because they'll try to leave your kids. They'll, do a lot of fucked up shit. Like, as a parent, if you got the time, man, even if you don't have all the time, I feel like as a parent, man, even if you can only go to a PTA meeting once a month, go.
Exactly. So that's our stance on discipline in school. The last topic that we have, paying kids for grades. So a lot of people, I had this on my Facebook a while back, last year, like the middle of last year or whatever, and I was just asking people, how do you feel about paying kids for getting good grades? Me personally, and you and I had this conversation as well, me personally, I don't think you should pay kids for grades because it's something that they have to do. I ain't
gonna lie, I recall you posting that, and I called you and I told you where my stance stood.
Yeah.
I was like, at the end of the day, man, you have very intelligent, very charismatic children or whatever who understand the world in a very different way, and that shit should be rewarded, because I think it allows them to understand their value a little different. You get what I'm saying? Like, when they fill out a job application or they submit a resume, they'll know their worth and not accept anything but with their worth. Because shit, mom paid me this amount. In reality, shit, this is what my salary was yearly. Why would I ever expect anything less?
Yeah.